Hi, I'm Craig and welcome to That 40s Guy. This is my first video on the channel and I'm going to document my 40s. I turned 40 yesterday. It's such a huge milestone and I thought why not create a little YouTube channel and share my experiences with you. If that sounds like something that you might enjoy, hit that subscribe button and I'm going to try my very best to launch new videos every single week. This is going to be a little introduction to me and I'm also going to share some pros and cons that I've found so far about turning 40. So this is me, I'm Craig, and I'm 40. That picture there was taken last week when I was celebrating my 40th birthday with my lovely wife, Sarah. So I got married a few years ago. There's been a load of things that have happened since then that I'll take you through at some point on this channel. But now I've got 2 dogs, I've got a cat, I'm married, I've got a house. It all feels very adult and very serious. But for me, that's an absolutely fantastic thing. And as Carl Jung said, life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you were just doing research. And if you don't believe that face, who can you believe? Look at that face, it's filled with wisdom. He's even wearing his glasses on his head like he really means business. And so, Carl Jung, I agree with you. I'm a day in and I'm already feeling wiser. But like I mentioned, I'm going to take you through some pros and cons of turning 40 that I've experienced so far. Pro number 1, I don't really feel that much different. So I've just turned 40 and it's not like there's this magic switch that has happened and all of a sudden I've got back pain, I've got grey hairs. I don't feel completely different because at the end of the day, age is just a number. And also that kind of aging experience, it happens over a longer period of time. So the truth is, turning 40, it wasn't really a big deal for me. Psychologically, that big 40 number, it was a huge number. Turning 30 for me wasn't really that different than being in my 20s. But turning 40, it does feel like, wow, I'm actually a fully fledged adult now. I've leveled up. But other than that, I don't really feel that much different. That's going in the pros column for now. The first con is white hairs. Now, I mentioned they didn't just pop up, but they have been appearing over the last several years. So I've got my first few have started appearing in my beard. I've got a few here in my sideburns. I've even found a couple of little stragglers in my chest hair. I won't mention about down there, don't need to know about that. But there are a few white hairs that started popping up. So this is going to be different for everyone, for your stress levels, for your genetics. But for me, early 30s, I didn't have any white hairs. And it's probably late 30s that I started getting a few white hairs popping up. Now the plan is, later in my 40s, I'm going full silver fox, just like this guy. That's the plan. Maybe by 48, 49, have a lovely white, shiny head of hair. Nice white beard, look a little bit like Gandalf. Let's see if that happens. But back to another pro. I do have more money. I don't have a kid at the moment, which means more disposable income, which means I've been able to save a little bit more, put a bit more into my pension, etc. So this is going to be different for everyone. If you've just had a kid in your mid-30s, you might have less money at 40. But for me, I've been building and building and building, and I've got more disposable income than I've ever had. I've got some savings, I'm building towards my pension and retirement and all that kind of stuff. When a kid comes, I'm sure that will all change. But for me, just from my experience, it feels nice not worrying about money all the time. As mentioned, I'm sure that is going to change. However, the flip side of that is when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, it felt like I hadn't aged until I was retiring or even thinking about retiring. I wasn't really thinking about my pension plans, my ISA, any of that kind of stuff. Since maybe my early 30s, I've been tracking my finances. That's really helped me to see, where I'm spending too much money, how I can save a little bit more money without being too granular on it. But for me, I needed to do that to save for my wedding and then save for a deposit for my house. So that was really helpful, that kind of tracking money for those bigger life events. But now pretty much the next thing that I'm saving for is retirement. Maybe I'm going to retire at 65, 67, 68, whatever the age will be when I get to retirement age. Hopefully I can retire a little bit earlier than 70 or 68. I think my aim might be 65, 66, something like that. Unless I'm still doing these videos. Maybe I'll be that 60s guy, that 70s guy. But yeah, back to the retirement thing. I know I've still got so much time. But the great thing about saving is that kind of compound effect. Let's say you put in £5,000 a year, £2,000 a year, £500 a year, however much you want to put into your savings, into your pension, all those kind of things. That kind of compound long-term effect means it's going to rise like this. And if you're here at the beginning, you've got more time for it to compound. Whereas when you're here, you've got less time for it to compound. So that return on savings is not going to be quite as big and as effective as it would have been if I was saving what I am now back in my 20s. But hey, that's for the future. And not everyone can afford to save and put money in their pension. So I'm in a very good place. I'm very fortunate. I'm very grateful. But when I'm thinking about retirement, it does get me a little bit nervous. But let's get back onto a positive. I'm feeling more mentally strong. That's not something that flicked overnight in my 40s. That's something that's probably been building since I was about 30 years old. So that's probably the main change that I noticed in my 30s, was the way that I think about things. In my 20s, I was so anxious about so many things. I wasn't confident within myself. I was always worried about certain scenarios. I didn't really believe in myself that much. Now I'm 40, I'm like, sod it. Who cares? That is a really lovely way to feel, in my opinion. 10 years ago, I might not have put myself out there. I definitely wouldn't have started this YouTube channel. But now it's like, life's short. If I don't do it now, what am I going to do? Do it at 50? So it does give that kind of little kick up the bum that some people need to get going, make a change. You know, that whole midlife crisis thing is real. Why not start a YouTube channel at 40? That's a pretty good midlife crisis, I think. However, a con of that is physically maybe not so strong. I've always been a pretty active guy. Hopefully you can tell. Well, at least a little bit. But over the last 5 years, maybe, I have noticed it takes a lot longer to recover than it did when I was 30. I play cricket for my local team, and let me tell you, I can't walk straight for about 3 days after a cricket match. When I was 30, I'd be all right a day after. And then with gymming, it might take me a day, 2 days to recover from that kind of DOMS, which is your after effect of working all your muscles. And even just little things like a little ache in the back every now and then, my knees clicking. I started noticing a few physical things that have started to change over the last few years. So I'm not quite at this level yet, but, you know, give it a few more years. Another big pro for me is less FOMO. This kind of leads into that mentally strong thing. I don't really have any fear of missing out now. That subsided gradually for me during my 30s. And not having that fear of missing out, I think is huge. It lets you focus in on what you truly want to do and what you truly want to achieve. So not having the fear of like, am I going to miss out not going to this event? Am I going to miss out not doing this and that and getting that job? Letting go of FOMO is huge. And I've not really experienced FOMO at all for the last few years. However, on the flip side, I've not really experienced YOLO either. There has been a few moments over the last few years that I'm like, screw it, let's just go for it. But it's so much easier to, live once when you're younger, when you don't have so much experience with life. But maybe that whole midlife crisis, that life begins at 40 thing will spur me on. Because the last few years has been a little bit serious maybe. I've been building my finances, I've been building this house up, been looking after the pets, building my businesses. So who knows, maybe I'm going to just go massive YOLO and go on a world trip. Who knows? But so far what I've experienced is, yes, I've got less FOMO, but maybe on the flip side, that means that I don't push myself out of my comfort zone enough. And that's one fun reason for doing this YouTube channel, is if I'm documenting these things, maybe I'll push myself to do some YOLO things. One more pro and con to go, and this is a huge one, and it's just confidence. Over the past 5 to 10 years, my confidence has grown significantly. That's from doing my own thing, putting myself out there, but I think it's just time as well. I'm getting to 40, I think I am at peak confidence levels with pretty much everything in my life. I know that might differ for some people depending on circumstantial situations, but for me, I'm at a high in terms of confidence, and I don't really see that dipping anytime soon, maybe apart from some little bits of physical decline. But yeah, confidence, brilliant, let's go. Mentally, I feel a bit like He-Man. If you're as old as me, you might get the reference. The one final con is that hangovers hurt. Back in my 20s, I'd go out every weekend. When I was 18 to 21, I'd be out 3 times a week. Probably not the best thing for my liver and my brain, but hey, it was fun. Whereas now, I'll have 3-4 beers in an evening and I will be hurting the day after. So it makes me want to drink less, which is probably a good thing for me. I might just have 1 or 2 beers every so often. But if there is a fun evening or a fun event or a wedding or a party, if I go and have a few drinks, especially if I mix my drinks, the next day is a write-off. And that is a big disadvantage of turning 40. One final pro is that I've got 3,652 days until I turn 50. So that's how long this YouTube channel is going to live for. Hopefully, I'm going to be uploading videos every week. I'll tell you a little bit about my life, take you through my journey in my 40s. And I also want to just answer tons of questions that anyone might have about life in their 40s and just give you any tips, advice, silliness, whatever it may be. Hopefully, it's going to be of interest to you watching this video. So that's it for the first video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it sounds like something that you might be interested in. And this is going to shift and change over the next few months. I need to find the right formula for this. I don't know if this presentation style is what people will want. Maybe I'll just do a bit more talking to camera. Maybe I'll take the camera out and film the dogs, film some outings. Let me know down in the comments below what you would like to see on this channel. Also, if you've got any questions about turning 40 and life in your 40s, drop the questions down below and I'll do my very best to answer them. That's it for this one. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.